What's in your Bible? Allegedly archaic words.
The King James Version is the best and most accurate Bible. What are your thoughts on that?
I love the King James Bible. Most of my Bible verses that I memorized as a kid come out in King James English.
Now, I would say because of his upbringing with the King James, he was taught to learn new words that he didn't know. So he got to learn English that assisted in helping him to be as articulate as he is today. Obviously, he's taken that skill of learning and expanded and run with it. Imagine the idea of reading and memorizing the King James Bible and it making you a better student, better educated, and articulate.
However, as time has gone on, we've discovered manuscripts that I think the King James translators would have been ecstatic about.
While the King James translators may not have had access to the 6006 extant manuscripts today, there are no new readings from those newfound manuscripts. They just support what was already there, what they already had. Everything outside of what they had access to only supports what was translated. The Reformers had access to the Roman Catholic Vaticanus. It was rejected. They deemed it of no value. We've exposed a lot of those corruptions in my earlier posts. Unfortunately, the single Vaticanus manuscript is the final authority in many of the new translations today. What the Reformers rejected as being corrupt, Westcott and Hort and the new translations deemed that as, oh, these are the real manuscripts. These are the good ones. What they're not telling you is they ignore all those newly found manuscripts.
The Bible needs to be updated. There are words in the King James that we don't use anymore. You don't say besom, chambering, and emerod. You say broom, immorality, and tumor.
First of all, words never lose their meaning. Once a word has been defined, that definition stays with the word. You can add new definitions to it, but you never dismiss or take away definitions that have already been established. It's written and recorded in history. The Oxford English Dictionary is a great place to find out what those words mean. The online version does not have all of the definitions and it isn't as thorough. You can find a compact edition of the Oxford English Dictionary on eBay. You just have to have a magnifying glass in order to be able to read it. Doesn't learning something new help you to better rightly divide the word of truth? Is it impossible to understand what a word means without a dictionary? In order to rightly divide the word of truth, one must always consider the context. Let's see if you can guess what besom means by the context. Isaiah 14:23. I will also make it a possession for the bittern and the pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. I will sweep it with the besom. You can't tell what that word means? Now, besom is one of the most used words to tell you how archaic the King James Bible is, so as to take it out of your hands. Were you able to understand what besom was by the context? Now, here's what's ironic. With all of the scholars and everybody saying, well, besom is an archaic word, we need to update and make a new translation of the King James because no one knows that besom means broom. By everyone doing that, they're educating everybody as to what besom means. In other words, they're making it so that the word's not necessarily archaic, or at least not known. Now, let's say by chance you cannot tell what that word means, even by the context. Look it up in a dictionary. So what happens when we look up besom on Google? Besom has its own Wikipedia page. Looks like a besom is a specific type of broom. Stick in the middle, twigs or straw around the end. Look at this. A website uses the term besom, defining it as being a witch's broom. It's even represented in cartoons. Look at all these YouTube videos on how to make a besom. If besom's such an archaic word, why is it so easy to find it on the internet? Especially YouTube. It could be said that the biblical besom just meant broom, whereas today it's more specific as to a type of broom, but it's still a broom. Besom is only used once in the Bible, and with the context, I can't believe that people can't figure out what that word is. Chambering, Romans 13:13. Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying. The context gives you that this is a negative connotation. So there's the first clue. So what does chambering mean? Let's break it down. Chamber, as in bed chamber, and putting the suffix ing at the end makes it active. and a gerund, therefore making it chambering, going from bedchamber to bedchamber or bed to bed. Does that make it a little more clear as to what it is? Now that you've got that picture, which is more accurate, chambering or immorality? Now, going from bed to bed is immoral, but so is lying, stealing, kidnapping. Is the verse talking about lying, stealing, kidnapping? No. So chambering is a little bit more specific, a little more accurate.
But in 1611, Besom, chambering, and Emerod meant broom, immorality, and tumor.
Now, I didn't mention wantonness. Wantonness is being lewd or lasciviousness. Well, this fits perfectly with the context of chambering. And it tells you specifically that this wasn't other immoral acts. Again, is there a problem with using a dictionary? Emerods, tumors or hemorrhoids. Okay, do you know what they are now? Although I wonder what golden hemorrhoids look like. Not really. My bet is everyone watching this video now will know for the rest of their lives what besom is and chambering. And again, chambering is only used in one of 31,102 verses. You may never use it again, or it could help you to win some game show. All Reformation Bibles have besom and chambering, and they were chosen for the ignorant plowboy to be able to understand, which is ironic because the ignorant plowboy didn't know English or what was common, which is ironic because this type of argument doesn't fit with the ignorant plowboy. They want you to believe the word has to be in the most common of language that anyone can understand. Easy readability. But the ignorant plowboy still had to be taught and learn English. They had to learn the words. They had to learn besom. They had to learn chambering. In this time where most everyone knows how to read, they're more ignorant than the ignorant plowboy 400 years ago.
But there are also words that we use today that mean something different. In Elizabethan English, awful means full of awe. If I wake up in the morning and I turn to my wife and say, honey, you look awful this morning, that's going to communicate something literally the opposite of what it would have communicated 500 years ago.
Except for the word awful isn't in the King James Bible. Besides, I bet his wife has awfully nice hair. Now, thanks to Eugene Nida, most Bibles today are based on dynamic equivalents in their translations. This means today's Bibles are trying to translate what the Bible means, not word for word. You would think that this would equate to using easier to understand words, but let's check it out. If the goal is to make the Bible easier to read, which of the following words do you consider easier to read and understand? Porphyry or red? Esther 1:6. Satraps or princes? Esther 3:12. Vestments or apparel? Ezra 3:10. Now, don't get me wrong, I like this guy. Most of his posts are spot on when dealing with anti-Bible people or naysayers or people trying to become famous because they've discovered a secret book or they're trying to destroy the authority of the Bible. I haven't seen everything that he's done, but for the most part, I like him. I like his research. I like his attitude. I like his resourcefulness, his presentation. We don't agree on everything, but where's the fun in that? Now, as with everyone, including me, eat the meat, spit out the bones. But more importantly, study to show thyself approved unto God.